Hi.
Hi, Caitlin.
Just kind of cutting in and out a little bit, so hopefully we'll be okay.
I think we will be. Okay. So, everyone, meet Caitlin. But before we dive right into who Caitlin is and before we get familiar with ourselves again, so that we can, you can, if you're new at least, get to know who I am, know that this talk, because we're in the month of October, it's all about breast cancer awareness. And Caitlin, she's the founder of Pre and Perry. Like I said, I was showing off my shirts, resilience. And we want to have a real talk conversation about the effects of breast cancer and how it affects our lives, right? Caitlin and I are joining you today from the GTA. I'm in Mississauga, she's in Toronto, and we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And it is the home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And we're going to dive right in for Caitlin to tell us a little bit about her because it's a really good segue into who Caitlin is.
Thanks for having me. Let me know if you can't hear me. I see you have some earbuds in, and I didn't even consider that. That might have been a good idea. So my name is Caitlin Wemigwans. I have an Indigenous streetwear company called Pre and Perry. I started selling in 2021. I started all the ideas and everything in 2017. But my first sale was in 2021 at a small market in North Bay, which is where I grew up. Um, now I was living in Toronto at the time. It was just during the pandemic and with a baby, I was spending a lot of time with my family up north. So now I'm in Toronto. I do a lot of markets, powwows, pop-ups here, and I also sell online.
Awesome. Before I dive into another question, can I tell you all, I have been to one powwow in my life and it was an amazing experience. And my husband and I was just driving around and we just stumbled upon a sign and went. And I had the best time that every summer we've been trying to figure out where it was that we went so that we can try to go back. But I'm gonna have to get a list of places of powwows to go to from you after
Oh,
this.
there's
Like I
a
need
ton.
some go-to places.
Even in the off season, even when it's not summer, there's still a powwow happening somewhere.
Incredible experience. I Everyone should try to attend one because you learn so much too.
And everyone's welcome. I'm not sure that everybody knows that, but everybody's welcome.
Yes, I felt very welcomed when I went because, like I said, we just drove and happened on one in a small area. I think it was outside of London somewhere, and I loved it. It was an incredible experience.
That's
Had
good.
to throw that one in there. Um, so we know you're a busy entrepreneur with Pre and Perry, your mom, and what happens when now you get the news that you're high risk for breast cancer? Like what's going through your head? What is like yeah, what's going through your head?
So this is something that I guess I already knew, I assumed, because of my family history. So once another family member was diagnosed, that's when I was like, okay, I think I need to talk to somebody, even though I'm pretty young still, relatively. I don't qualify for regular mammograms already, just as an average person. But with this strong family history, I wanted to make sure. I felt something in my breast while I was breastfeeding. Of course, a lot of attention is paid in that area at that time. There's a lot of changes that go on. So during that experience with like pumping and everything, I noticed something and I was like, is this a problem? Like I have this history. Is this okay? Is it not? A lot of people said, oh, it's probably just a cyst. And even my practitioner said that too. But thankfully sent me to go and get it checked out just in case. So I did have like an ultrasound. I didn't get into mammograms or anything yet. I was still breastfeeding. Um, but I had just like a physical check, I guess. Like what do you call it? An exam, physical exam. Um, and then we just started the process of me getting into more screening, getting into the program at Women's College Hospital Breast Center. That process took a while. I had to get multiple tests. I've had, I think, 3 mammograms now, and I'm only 33. And I think I'm going for another one probably in about 6 months or something. Now I've had an MRI. There's all kinds of things that I've had to do, and of course that takes time away from from all the other stuff I have to do, being a mom and running a business. Um, but I am very grateful, though, that I am able to do this in just one day. I don't have to make huge travel plans and bring my child with me and stay in a hotel and everything that I know a lot of people have to do. I feel very lucky that I can just get on the subway and go to my appointment and then come back home in the same day, because it's a lot.
It is, and accessibility is a huge factor because, like you said, you're able to take the subway and have access to all these things. It's not the same if you are probably still in North Bay or if you're in some rural areas, you don't have the access where you have to travel. It's now it becomes a financial burden. You have to travel, find a place to stay, might be multiple days and all these things. So yeah, we look for the silver lining in all things. But it must have been very challenging too as a mom. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to imagine what that's like.
Yeah, I think I tried to kind of keep a perspective that I don't have a diagnosis, I just have a higher risk.
Mm.
So I spoke with a geneticist, who actually told me that my risk isn't quite as high as I thought it was. This is just based on numbers that are plugged into a computer and like spit out, and there's two different systems that they do. Um, so we of course can't tell the future, but there's a pretty strong link there. No known cancer genes that they can identify. Doesn't mean that there are none there, but um, uncertainty is difficult too. In a lot of what I'm saying right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen. We're just trying to, if something does happen, catch it early so that I have a good chance of getting through it. Because not everybody does.
Yeah. Wow.
And during the pandemic,
I agree.
I read a bit of your book, and I learned that your treatment happened during the pandemic. And I think that set back a lot of people. They weren't able to get their screening done. And who knows how long it was sitting there when they could have caught it earlier if everything was working the way that it had been prior to the pandemic. So, can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, like, I do have to say I was fortunate that the process started before the pandemic hit, right? So I got diagnosed late 20, August of 2019. I had, well, unlike you, I did not really notice a lump myself. I am famous for going to the doctor and going, hey, you do what you do, because I don't I wasn't confident in my ability to do my own self exam, but it's important, everyone, to do your self exam. But what I was confident in is listening to my doctor to make sure I knew the signs. So I had lumps, and I had my annual, when I do my checkups, I would have to do ultrasounds. And my doctor would remind me every year, if you ever feel pain, make sure you come to me. Do not wait. And for a while, I'm like, I'm starting to feel pain in that whole lump area. And sometimes it's mind over matter, I thought it was. And then after a couple of weeks, then a couple more weeks, I'm like, okay, I should go to my doctor. And he expedited things right away, where I had that ultrasound. By the time I went back into the fitting room, they told me, no, you can't leave yet.
Mm.
You need a mammogram. And that's when everything hit me. But everything moved along pretty smoothly. And I had my surgery, a lumpectomy, in August. Then I started chemo October 16th, 2019. And when the pandemic hit, I was in the middle of radiation.
Mm.
And it was unique in that I got to see firsthand every single day how the rules of the hospital changed. And it was also nerve wracking because I was so afraid to get sick,
Mm-hmm.
because I was looking forward to feeling better. So I don't know what to do. I was in shambles for a bit, day by day, because the staff is not sure what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on. And I'm going to a place that I love hospitals. I trust everything about the medical industry. Like, love it, love it, love it. I'm strange in that way. So for me to go in a place where I know I feel safe, I know I'm surrounded by the people who will make me better, but we all have the same questions. it's kind of like, what do you do in this moment,
Hmm.
right? So that's where you have to just trust, I guess. And I I'm always a silver lining kind of person. So every day when I went in, like at least I'm able to get treatment because there are many people who everything stopped, no surgeries, no treatment. At least I'm still able to get what I need. And I still remember on that very last day, I was so thankful because again, there are people out there who didn't even get to start the process. Like you mentioned, like everything stopped. So what do I do now? Right? It's it's insane to just think back about it. But, even the part where I'm not able to celebrate with my family, I'm not able to go through the whole process with my family being by my side because everyone had to isolate.
Yeah.
So, it was an interesting time in my life, but I'm here to tell the tale. So there were a lot of silver linings out of it. I managed to learn a lot about myself, and yeah,
So your treatment wasn't postponed at all? Like you didn't miss even one appointment?
not
I didn't know that was
even
possible at
one.
the time because so much had changed, and I was pregnant at the time, so I was seeing a lot of medical professionals too. And things had changed. I had to start doing everything on my own that I didn't expect to be doing on my own. Um, there was a time I wouldn't even get blood work done or get a shot without somebody holding my hand, like somebody that I
Mhm.
know. So thankfully, I was able to try it myself. I think once before the pandemic hit, and it's like, no, you can't. Um, we were allowed to have. My partner came in for the ultrasound. Thankfully, that I think it was just that place allowed it for some reason. Not everywhere was, but that place did, and I was so thankful for that. Not being able to have my mom here like at all. At least they did allow my partner in some cases, but yeah, a lot of fear about what was going to happen. Now we're through it. It kind of feels like not as big a deal when we're on the other side, but looking back at what we were writing or how we were communicating and things like that, it's such a difference. And one of my family members, I do believe things were postponed because of that.
Mm.
So I can't talk too much, and my family's very private. They would never get on a chat like this.
Can we touch on the private parts of it all? Because I think in both our cultures, that's something, right? Where it's like, I remember my mom kept going, oh, she's sick. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're not allowed to say that. You say it fully. Breast cancer. Say it. Because people need to start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be so hush. We have to talk about it. That's why we're talking right now. Because you have to start feeling like you'd be surprised how many people who are going through it, but they don't want to share their experiences. I am thankful that I'm as open as I am because I can tell you, ever since I've been diagnosed, I have never had a moment where I did not know someone who was going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I know one, and I, I don't want to say it, but as soon as she's done, I'm probably going to know another
Yeah.
because that's how frequent it is. But I'm able to have the conversations with her like, this is exactly everything I did, like down to the nitty gritty, like the TMI moments. I'm telling you everything so that you're prepared. We need
Yeah.
to talk more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had similar things happen when I started to talk about the campaign that I'm doing with my shirts and sharing part of my story. Of course, there are certain things that I keep private for more for other people. Um, but I had somebody reach out to me. I had no idea. Somebody who knew two people who are going through it right now and felt a connection. Even family members that I hadn't talked to about it because I don't know. It just doesn't come up. I'm high risk. I don't have it, so like, why am I going to go around and hey, I'm high risk. I'm high risk. I'm high risk. But at the same time, I also wanted to get back with this campaign, and I'm learning something, and I'm seeing that there's more community going on out there too.
Yeah, it's important too because from your perspective, at least it's about what are you doing to make sure that you're being screened? How are you advocating for yourself? How are you talking to these medical professions so that people can start having these conversations? Like I see in the chat here, someone says, if you don't mind asking, how old were you when you had it? I had a scare moment 2 years ago because my breasts were hurting and it took 6 months to be able to have a doctor to touch my breasts. And I see last time they checked it was fibrosis, but didn't want to do a mammogram because I'm 35 years old. Well, fortunately, that 35, that 40-year-old mark has changed in Ontario. I should know the website, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But you can get mammograms. So I can say I was 39 when I was diagnosed, but I have a doctor who listens to me, and he would check in like every time. How are you feeling with this? How is this going? Because the last thing he wants is to miss something like this, and then it's stage 4, right? But there is the ability for you to get mammograms now in Ontario. You don't have to be 40 anymore in order. I think it was 40 or 45. And also, if you have a history of cancer in your family, like any of your direct relatives, like siblings or parents, you are able to get mammograms within 10 years of whenever they were diagnosed. So, for example, I'm the eldest. I have two younger sisters. One's 10 years younger than me, and one's 13 years younger than me. So the one that's 10 years younger than me, actually both of them, they are eligible to go and get mammograms because it's in the lineage, it's direct. So, put your foot down and keep asking. If one doctor tells you no, go to another. But if you have a family doctor, have the frank conversation with them. You have to demand more from them, and they have to listen to you, because especially as women of color, they think that we're superheroes. We're not. We're regular people. So make them listen to you.
Yeah, as far as that, I've been fortunate. I mean, I've had some bad doctor experiences, especially when I first moved to the city, but I'm at Anishinaabe Health right now, and they have different kinds of rules and things change over time, but generally I get 30 minutes to an hour with my practitioner for like whatever I want, and I can talk about as many different things as I want. I'm hearing so many things about people who can't even find a doctor in the first place. And I've experienced the walk-in doctor who says like, you can only be here for one thing after you've been sitting there for 3 hours. Like, well, if my fingers cut off, but my toes cut off too, like, shouldn't we just tackle them both at the same time? That's an extreme example, but it's it's how I feel. It's how I felt. I felt like they weren't listening. Um, and they didn't really tell me how to do it in the way that they want me to do it. Just just kind of cutting me off like that's too much. That's enough. Um, so yeah, I think people are experiencing that more now, and especially with the scarcity of primary care doctors. Even in Toronto, I have friends who don't have a regular doctor, and I find that pretty terrifying because sometimes things are happening and you don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We are fortunate if we do have a family doctor. And then also, like I know you're dealing with Women's College. I deal with Credit Valley, and Credit Valley has been amazing. I cannot sing their praises enough. I'm very fortunate in that every step of the way, everything was amazing. But we have to start really advocating for ourselves. And if you don't feel you can advocate for yourself, like I know my youngest sister is a nurse. So what I would do all the time is I would, send her a list of all the things that I have going on, and she will lay out exactly what I need to ask, when I need to ask it, and then I come back to her with all of the answers. Or I will have her on the phone as well. So if you have someone who can help advocate for you, it's always helpful.
Yeah, it helps. Because when I go to the doctor, I'm writing notes and everything, but then I'll talk to my mom afterward and she'll say, so what about this or what about that? I'm like, I think they might have said something about that. Let me check my notes. How is it not there? I thought I wrote down every word they said, and there's always something I miss. She always asks me something. So you can bring somebody that you trust, thankfully now, without all the pandemic restrictions. You can bring somebody that you trust to come and help you out. And especially if you're in a fear mindset or anxiety, it helps to have somebody there who doesn't have such a heavy emotional attachment like that. They can hear it more clearly, more rationally than what you can. Because sometimes we just grab onto the worst bit of news and like really catastrophize. I've experienced that myself. I've seen other people go through that. Um, so yeah, it's really good to have that support person if you have it, whether it's family or friend. Um, Unfortunately, not everybody does have that, but people who do definitely use it.
Wow. Ooh, we're having some conversations, people. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna just scroll through the chat a little bit first. Let me just check before we move on to, okay, I think we're good. Yes, we answer. Ooh, yeah, we answered questions. Perfect.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
You were at Run for the Cure recently, and you were,
Ooh.
uh, says a participant of Hope speaker. What is that?
So, if anyone has been to any of the Run for the Cure, you usually see people in white shirts and people in pink shirts. So, the people in pink shirts are usually breast cancer survivors, and they are referred to as participants of hope because they don't like using the term survivor. And I was fortunate enough to be the speaker that kind of helped rally the troops before everyone went on the walk. And I have to say, it was probably it, I think for the past 2 years since when I've gone to a walk, it's been an extremely overwhelming feeling, like extremely overwhelming, positive, overwhelming, because I look out and I see all these people in pink, but then I also think of all the people who didn't make it. But then I see all these people in white, and I feel so excited because I'm like, look at the amount of people who are here to support us, right? It feels like it's like a white cloud just hugging all of us in pink, and it's an emotional day. So to be able to stand there and to share my story, but also to provide words of encouragement and provide hope for everyone in the crowd, it it it, it was incredible. I feel a little emotional just talking about it. It was incredible to be able to have that platform to I feel like I went through everything I went through in order to just share and to be like that positive ray to as many people as I can. So that was a moment that I'll never forget, a moment that I'll always be thankful for because it meant a lot to be able to do that, a lot to be able to do it. I am like a little teary, a lot to be able to do
Yeah, I don't know how you can get through that without crying up there. Is it possible?
I was shocked that I did
Oh, okay.
because I said to myself, I'm like, I'm probably going to cry. And I'm okay with that because I don't get embarrassed easily, but I was never the person who would cry in public. Like, you are not seeing me cry. Okay. But after going through everything, I'm like, screw that. I'm going to cry if I want to cry. And you're just going to have to deal with it because that's how I feel. Okay. But I didn't cry. I felt so proud of myself when I got off the stage. I was like, oh, my eyes are dry.
Oh, that's great. Maybe all the adrenaline.
Yeah, maybe,
I don't
But
know.
yeah, that was
I could see
my
where.
version of giving back.
I've only been to a couple of events. It was more for cancer in a like a broader sense, especially in North Bay. I'm not sure if they do specific breast cancer events right now, but they definitely do one that's for all cancers. And I went there for the walk and everything, but I didn't appreciate it as much because I was a child or I was a teen.
Mm.
Really get it. Now I can feel that more. And I used to be, well, I still get accused of being quite stoic now, but I used to be really like, why aren't you smiling? I am. But now I'm like, I get weepy over some things, like even, I don't know, maybe not a commercial, but like we're getting to that point where it only takes a commercial sometimes. So yeah, I think if I ended up being at one of these things, I'd be having a hard time.
It's okay, but everyone will come and they'll just love on you.
And
So
then I'll
that's
cry
that's
even
all
more.
right.
It always happens as soon as I get the love, then it's just like,
It's the perfect place because all the people there, it's like they, in one way or another, they understand. They've been through it either as a caregiver or as person who's physically going through it, right? So it's incredible. I really love to go to those types of events where I can just feel the love in the entire space. It's incredible. Whatever I can do to give back, I will try. That's all I can do. And I know you. Let's talk about the shirt. Come on. Can we talk about what you have this initiative? I'm going to stand and model the shirt. Please let us know more. Resilient.
Yeah, so I already had resilient shirts. It was one of the first designs that I put out. So here's, for example, this isn't even the first. This was the green. Black came first, and then I did the green, and it was something that started out as just a word that I was seeing a lot in the Indigenous community with everything that's happened to us in the past with colonialism and everything that we're trying to overcome and reconnect to our heritage and everything. That word has really stuck with me a lot and it's resonated with other Indigenous people. But once I started putting it out into the world and being face to face with people, I noticed that a lot of other people were resonating with it for different reasons. So it could be a medical thing, it could be a mental health thing. Everybody has struggles, and everybody wants that message of like they can do it, they are strong, or they've overcome something, and they like to celebrate it with that word. Or people will buy it for a friend that they know is struggling and hope that it gives them just a little more strength to keep going through their situation. So when I had another family member who was diagnosed, she suggested that I make a pink version. At the time, I wasn't ready because it was maybe September that the idea came up, and then October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I sort of sat on it for a bit, and I decided to actually make it a reality for this year. It was still a little rushed, but thankfully I was able to do it. I got the long sleeve version here, light pink print.
Okay.
It's good for fall, but the reason why I picked the long sleeve is because in one of these conversations with somebody I was having, they had a medical issue that was happening. They were getting treatment. I don't remember the details, and I would keep it private anyway because it's their business. But they had signs of treatment on their arms. Um, I don't know if it was just like a needle or needle marks or something, like not addiction type of
Mhm.
thing. But everybody has reasons that they want to cover their arms. Sometimes it's modesty, or they just don't want that attention because a lot of people don't want people feeling bad for them and making a big deal over them. So
Yeah.
it really stuck with me, and I thought, well, that's a good idea. And I heard from other people who just have a preference to have a longer sleeve. So I thought it was worth doing, but more for the person who wanted to just kind of cover up when they're going through their treatment and just feel a little bit more secure and I don't know, a little bit keep more to themselves, I guess, and not be so publicly on display, um, which some people are cool with and some people aren't. So I also do have the short sleeve because everybody likes something different or options. I like having
Options.
options. I have one of each myself that I've been switching out on a regular basis.
Okay. And when someone buys a shirt, what happens?
So I'm donating $10. Well, my business, on behalf of my business, I'm donating $10 to Women's College Hospital Breast Center. So there they do a lot of screening. They do the mammograms, they do ultrasound, they do MRI. I just had a breast MRI recently, and that was quite an experience. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So they do that, and they're with you along the way. You get like a appointed doctor who kind of oversees everything. Um, and I'm only in the first year right now, so I still have a lot more to do. I don't know the exact timelines of everything. I get one done. I talk to them about what's the next step and get that done, just one step at a time. Um, and I'll be checking in with my doctor soon. But they also help people who are going through treatment. So there's a lot of different levels here. Yeah, there's a lot of support. It's more of a support than like research and trying to find a cure. It's another area that's very important too, especially because it can be very overwhelming and people can get very emotional about things. And I've never felt mistreated in that hospital. I've heard stories about people in different hospitals that are just awful. I've never felt anything bad being in there. I'm always comfortable. Um, and that's the first place that I had my blood work taken on my own without holding somebody's hand, because that person who took the blood was so great. Um,
Oh,
and I remember the person. I don't remember their name too much, but I learned that they were a drag queen in the off hours, and like It's just such a nice conversation, and to imagine like this show going on and everything while they're doing this thing that I'm not wanting to look at.
Why do I have a feeling I know who it is? Because I feel like I watch a lot of Drag Race and I feel like I know who it is.
I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know if they've ever been on, like on TV or anything. They're perform in the city, as far as I know. And this again was
I
like
think
four,
there's one that mentioned that
5 years.
they worked there. There's one, and I think they were on Drag Race and on Amazing Race
Really?
Canada.
I gotta
I think
find
so.
that out. I, I
Oh,
wrote
wow.
down
So,
that.
Women's College Hospital,
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, they're great. So $10 from each shirt. It doesn't matter how many I sell by the end of the period. I'm still going to continue donating that money. Um, but I would like to do it within October just to kind of mark this month.
Yes.
Of course,
And
we
everyone,
always
if I
need
see a
support.
question here, can you both share your Instagram? So where you can go and click the link and get your shirts will be in Caitlin's Instagram. Caitlin, please share your Instagram handle.
That's at Pre and Perry. It's spelled out Preandperi. And I can probably put it in the chat
Yes.
too.
So Pre and Perry, you click the link in her bio, please, and purchase a shirt. We can all like maybe we'll like see each other on the street and we're rocking our resilience shirts. That would be kind of awesome. Um, yeah, there it is in the chat, Pre and Perry.
Yeah.
Make sure you support. It is for a good cause. And I mean, look at it. Full circle. You're supporting a woman's owned business. You are like Canadian small business woman here. You're supporting a woman owned business. You're supporting a business by a woman of color. You're also supporting an organization that is helping women. And Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Come on. You win all around. Check, 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 and check.
And you're supporting a small Indigenous business. They were also
Yay!
made locally. And I have so many things that I can talk about with my business that sometimes I forget some of the points and I don't want to overwhelm. But since we have a little bit of time, both of these shirts were made in the GTA. So they were knitted, dyed, cut, sewn, decorated here, 100%. Even the fabric, the fibers were from Canada and the US. So that's really cool. There's not a,
Yeah.
well, I haven't seen a ton of brands that are doing that, but especially for, streetwear and awareness programs and everything.
And it's like local. Like all the boxes are checked.
And
All the
small
boxes
batch.
are checked. Small, look at that. Oh my
Trying
gosh.
to
If,
reduce.
if anyone has questions, oh, it says made in Turtle Line. I see
Maybe.
Jess here doing all the thing. If anyone has questions, please do ask us questions because I know we talked a lot about our experiences. Um, but they do say everyone's experience is different, but we are coming from different perspectives. One person being high risk, one person going through it. Um, we're talking here not only to bring awareness, but also to just be able to have this type of conversation and for you to know that it is okay to be able to have these types of conversations. That's part of the reason why, too, I wrote the book. I wanted to really just get a lot. Well, fun fact, the book didn't start as a book. It started because I went to a chemo information session at the hospital and they said to me, Dwania, you're going to experience chemo fog. You're going to lose your memory. And I remember going, I already have a bad memory. This is going to be a disaster. So I started journaling, which is something I don't do. And after a while, I'm like, this would be really good for someone else to read what I've been through, like a frank, open, honest conversation about what I've been through, but also tie in my experience growing up as a child, practically living in a hospital because I was very asthmatic in Jamaica. So I looked at it as how did my growing up and how did my childhood prepare me for this moment? Why I'm so nonchalant and cool about it? Because my family did tell me I was a little bit too nonchalant. They were waiting for me to break down. But like I said, I love hospitals and I trust in the medical field. And my book kind of tells you why. But yeah, I want people to be able to just read a, just a regular, honest experience. I share as much as I feel like I shared everything. I'm pretty much an open book in the book. But yeah, I see a comment, Dwania, not sure if this is correct. Yes, it's Dwania, spelled, well, It's okay. Don't worry. Thank you for sharing. Also, your story has most. Oh, don't cry. But I mean, cry if you need to, but don't cry. Oh, God works in mysterious ways. And all the stories help everyone. Yeah, sharing our stories help people. Like it touches everyone differently. And if you can make an impact on one person every time you share your story, then that's enough.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that you've done that. I haven't been able to read the entire book yet, but I did read the little bit, and I thought like I was feeling like I was getting to know a person. It wasn't just like it wasn't a textbook or anything. Like this is a real person, and that was really great. And also as somebody who has said and probably shouldn't say like, oh, I'm gonna get it. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna have it. I've had that mindset since I was a teenager without having even any kind of doctor. What's the right word right there? Like validating that or anything. So I think in my fear, it'll be nice to be able to read that, whether or not I actually do go through it. I still have it in my head that I will. So it's a good comfort that I can see what somebody else has gone through, and especially that you made it through to the other side and you have such a positive attitude still, and you're not scared of hospitals. It's great.
Yeah, and I'm not scared of hospitals. I love them so much. Yeah, I've always had the mindset too that I'm probably going to get it, but I've also always said to myself, it's between me and my sisters, just I'll take it.
Mm.
I'll take the L for all of us, and it's
I get
fine.
that as the older child
But
too. We've got
yeah,
siblings, and I've often said that too when it comes to some hardships. I'm like, well, this is really tough, but it's better me than them.
mhm, mhm.
And now I have a daughter, so thinking like she's in that line, like she is probably gonna be high risk as well, depending on what happens with me. But I'd like to be prepared to help myself, but more even to help her.
Yes. And I think part of having conversations too is to help you to be mentally prepared because that is half the battle. Because you have to go into all these things with a positive attitude that you are going to win, that you are going to get through it. And, every little hiccup that happens, I remember always telling myself, every hard moment I've had, what am I supposed to learn about myself in this moment? And I try to find that thing that I'm supposed to learn because that's what's going to get me through it. I'm not going to focus on the hard moment. I'm going to focus on what I'm supposed to learn in this moment.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to start to get to that point, but every day is a learning process. And if I look back, I've come a long way. But there's also a lot to learn because when you were talking about the chemo fog, I'm like, I haven't heard of that.
Oh yeah, it's real. It still affects
Oh,
me. Oh yeah.
oh,
There's sometimes I'm like, what is that word? I think when we were talking earlier, I'm like, that word, that word, that
oh, I did
word.
that a few times now too. I'm like, uh-oh, I don't need anything else impeding that.
Oh my
But we'll see what happens.
gosh.
And I'm glad that I have a lot of trailblazers that can kind of guide the way a little bit.
Oh, I'm so happy we're able to have this conversation. I'm happy that you're able to share. We're both sharing stories. Everyone, please make sure that you are going to follow Caitlin at Pre and Perry. So PREANDPERI. Please follow her. And for those who are watching from Caitlin's channel, you can follow us at Canadian Small Business Women. I Yeah, I'm so happy we're able to have this conversation because I feel like we have touched quite a few people. And yeah, oh my gosh, any parting words for everyone?
If you suspect anything, talk to your doctor. Get screened. Some people are afraid of the actual screening. Mammogram is not really pleasant, but once they're done, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't have any lasting results there, like bruising or anything like that. In the moment, it's just like, and then it's done. You can get through it, and don't be afraid of it. Talk to your doctor because it's better to catch things early if it's going to happen.
Yes, early detection, it is very helpful. Early detection, talk to your doctor, get your screening, do your self-assessment if you are able, all the things, and ask questions. I am an open book, so ask questions. I'm always available to answer them because I'd like to feel like I can have my Grey's Anatomy moment and sing the song, I know how to save a life in the back of my head when I'm answering these questions.
That's great.
Oh my gosh. Thank you again, Caitlin. Thank you, everyone. And replay crew, drop some questions if you have any. We'll come back and we'll track and we'll see if there are any questions that we can answer. But thank you so much, Caitlin. And I am sending you all the positive vibes. And you're going to send me some powwows that
All
I
right.
can check out and I'll share it with everyone.
Yeah. I got a whole
Oh
book.
my gosh. Yes. Thank you. So everyone go to Caitlin's page. Let me just model one more time. A lovely Brazilians
Long,
shirt. I
long
absolutely
sleeve.
love it. Yes.
It gives us such a tiny
And support
screen on
an
this.
amazing cause.
Well, thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.